Good morning. Morning. Hey, Nick. Hey, Daniel. What we're listening to now is something that my daughter learned on her synthesizer. And she's playing all that. That's what she's doing with her times. Hey, thanks for coming back. All right. I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to put a different assignment in, and I think that will probably make you all happy. Everybody's kind of frustrated with the assignment, and we don't have enough time to go through everything. But I am going to try to get you to understand a few concepts that deal with it. By the way, make sure you're telling your friends that are in your class, your classmates, when you need to be on and such. You are getting credit as part of your grade for showing up for these. I wrote a few things down that'll help you. Like on this, you don't have to complete this worksheet. I've kind of decided to throw it out because everybody's having difficulty with it. And it's not the best laid out thing either. But understand there's a couple things that's going on. Remember, there are two types of plants, and I'm going to go over this because some of you haven't been here before. By the way, say hi to Harold. All right, there he is. Hi, Harold. All right, so this is going to be some review. Vascular plants and non-vascular plants. And so this is some review. Let me see if I can get this to type for me. Vascular and non-vascular. Anybody who was here before, can you give me an example of a vascular plant or a non-vascular plant? Let's start off with that. Secondly, what do we mean? What do we think of when we hear the word vascular? Anybody have any ideas on that? I'm going to do this more as a group. I'm going to show you, we're going to use a ruler today to measure some stuff. Oh, something else I wanted to show you. I found something. It is called microgreens. Okay. We planted these last night. These are something that you can add to a salad. You know, we're talking about a situation where do we have enough food and people are worried? This, it actually says on the front of this, in as little as 5 days to harvest, 5 days to harvest. So I planted this last night. And so I am going to be showing this, what it looks like. Today's Thursday. So I'm going to be showing this to you guys on Tuesday. We'll see how far it's actually grown. This is something that you can add to a salad. 5 days, it's supposed to be in a position to harvest. I have it outside in the greenhouse, and we'll see how it actually works. Other thing I'm going to show you And I'm going to adjust this down. This is our lettuce or celery that we've been working on. We actually took celery that we have cut all the stalks off of and then put it in water, and it's growing back. And how cool is that? And so I actually have a tape measure, and we're going to use that to measure its growth. And we're going to monitor this. And so right now we are at about I don't know how well you can see that, 3.5 inches of growth right now. So when we're going to be monitoring that, that's what these look like. They're growing. They're getting really slimy, to be honest with you. Even our little one is growing. They're getting kind of gross to hold up because they're getting kind of slimy. And I think I'm probably going to have to put them in the ground sooner or later. But it's amazing to me that that's growing. So, yes, this is for 7th. Who's Gamer J? And Tristan's here. Woo-haw! We are all in. We got everybody. So these are now 3.5 inches tall. I wanted to show you that. Again, I planted these microgreens last night with my wife and my daughter. It says a little as 5 days to harvest. So when we come back on Tuesday, we're going to be showing how tall they've actually gotten 5 days. These are examples of plants that are vascular plants, okay? And so by vascular, I mean they actually have little tubes in them called phloem and xylem that allow water to pass up through them and to basically feed the whole plant. So I'm going to show you an example, 2 examples really of non-vascular plants. You're familiar with them. This is moss. Okay. Moss is not a vascular plant. It'll just, it never gets really tall, and that's part of it not being a vascular plant. And it will just absorb water, rainwater, or whatever directly from the ground. This is getting really, really dried out. I took it out out of the ground about a week ago, or off the ground about a week ago. And then the other thing I have here, and I know there's a lot of sunlight coming through the window here, and it's kind of hard to see. This is actually this is bark off of a branch. And on the outside of this is lichen. It's kind of a bluish green color. It's very thin. That is also a non-vascular plant. It doesn't have these tubes running through it. It gets its moisture from the rain, from the morning dew, and whatever happens to be on the tree, which is usually dew. The other thing we talked about was the difference between types of trees, deciduous trees and conifers. This is this is a conifer, and you can see if you look at these really closely, they basically are a type of needle. What makes it a conifer, if you look at the beginning of that word, the beginning of that word is cone, and here's one of the little tiny pine cones that these trees get. If I sit here and shake these, I will actually get a seed out of it, and I'll show you. I got to do something here. My fingers are dirty, so I need some adhesion. That's a seed. That's as big as it is. That little tiny seed will grow into, that's inside this cone. Those little tiny seeds are inside this cone, and that little tiny seed will grow into a 30, 40 foot tree. Kind of neat, kind of amazing. Real quickly, so those of you who just come in, I'm going to, if you've already done this assignment or attempted to do this, you'll get credit for it or extra credit. I'm going to throw out the assignment and put a different one on Google Classroom today. So make sure you look at it before the day's out. And it'll probably be, my guess is it'll be this afternoon. So getting back to this, if you haven't gotten anywhere on the current assignment, just forget about it. If you've done it, it'll end up being extra credit for you. You really need to, and I said this when I assigned it, you really need to use internet resources to answer some of these. And I'm going to talk about a couple of the ideas behind it, which is really what I wanted you to get out of it. One is the idea of adhesion, and I'm going to type it in, adhesion, and the second word is cohesion, okay? Adhesion should be really easy to remember. Anytime you use a piece of tape, it actually is technically called adhesive tape, right? And so adhesion it's when one thing attaches itself to another assignment. What assignment? The assignment that's in Google Classroom, Tristan. Okay. You have to use your school email. You have to be logged in to Google with your Google Classroom, with your Google ID and everything, and get into Google Classroom. A lot of the stuff we've been talking about is on the Blizzard packs that you got. Yeah, and if you don't have to worry about the one that's in there. We don't have to do it. So let me get back to talking about adhesion and cohesion. Adhesion is just attaching one thing to another, like when we use tape, okay? And cohesion is like molecules. I have a little bit of water in this little cup, and so some of that water, I don't know if you can actually see, it's on my finger, and it'll get to a certain point where it's too heavy. But anyways, the idea that those water molecules are attracted to each other is the idea of cohesion. So when you have cohesion and adhesion working together, that's how that water actually travels up through from the bottom, the roots of a tree, up through into the leaves and the stems, because the water is being attracted to other water molecules. Okay, so you, just like I showed you with my finger, you have some water molecules are being attracted to other water molecules. Okay, and so there's some cohesion there, but the water is also adhesing or having adhesion to the walls of those tubes, the xylem and phloem, in the plant, whether it's celery or anything else. So both those things have to be going on for that water. You have to think about this. That water is magically going up. It seems like it's magically going up into a plant when it's actually because of the adhesion and cohesion that's going on. That's what I wanted you to get out of that. It just did not present itself well on this assignment. And I have something else, a couple other ones. I have to decide which one I want to assign you that I'm going to replace it with. So don't worry about the one. Again, if you did it, it's going to be extra credit. If you haven't done it, you don't have to worry about it. So it's springtime. Does anybody have any questions so far about any of the stuff that I just showed you? Because if not, we're going to talk about a few other things. Again, this is general stuff that you'll have some assignments on it. Some of it was in your homework. I'm going to talk a little bit about, again, I have a seed there. This is a seed from arborvitae, which is a type of conifer. They can grow to be 30 feet or more, stay green all winter. They're good as a barrier to block wind and stuff. Pretty hardy. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Stephen Hawkins. That's what my shirt says. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. All right, thanks for asking about my shirt. So getting into a couple other things, I want to talk to you about what germination is, and I'm going to write that word in there. Somebody always says germination, that's a country in Europe. Ha 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 ha. That's a little different. That would be this, German nation. No, two different things. What is germination? Anybody know? Anybody want to take a guess? Out of the 11 people here, what do you think germination is? It happens, let me just say this, it happens every spring where you have stuff coming out of the ground. Germination. Germs like the corona. No. I know you're joking. At least I hope you're joking. Germs and germination are two entirely different things. So germination is the process of taking something or a seed. Yeah, is when a seed starts to change into a plant. And so it's the process of a seed developing into the plant for the technical answer. And there's our seed. How do we go from this to having a plant? So what a seed will actually do is it'll start to germinate. What'll happen first is it needs two things for it to germinate. And eventually three things. It needs water and warmth. Okay? Seeds are never usually buried. I mean, when seeds fall out of a tree, they never necessarily get too far into the ground. That's right, they need water. So seeds never get too far into the ground. They might get trampled on. Animals, birds will eat them. Whatever doesn't make it ends up into the ground. And when it starts to warm up this time of year, it gets not necessarily heat. Let's use the word warmth because if it gets hot enough, it would actually kill something. But we get that warmth, we get that water, and the seed starts to germinate. And so from this seed, what will actually start to happen first is it'll start to develop a root system before anything else happens. And so you'll have roots start to form underneath the seed. Why? Why do you think those roots are going down into the ground? What is it trying to get and get lots of? It is trying to get as much water as it can so that it can grow quickly. So you have a seed sitting there, it gets roots on the bottom. On the top, it starts to develop roots or shoots, not roots, shoots. Roots on the bottom, shoots on the top. That's what comes up out of the ground. And then that third thing that comes into it is the warmth and the sunlight. Warmth being the second thing, sunlight being the third. Every plant takes that sunlight. What does a plant do with sunlight? Why does a plant need sunlight? Why would a plant need sunlight? Yeah, that shoot that comes up out of the ground ends up being the stem. That's right, Tristan. To make food, right? The plant needs food. Yeah, for energy and growth, Nick. That's right. And so now you're having an energy transformation. We've talked about energy transformations, and so exactly the process that's going on where we take sunlight, or the plant takes sunlight and turns it into food for itself, really to help it grow. Anybody know what that process is called? Big idea. Starts with a P. Does that help? And if you spell it wrong, that's okay. But basically, we're turning the sun's energy, which is what kind of energy it needs it to grow. That's right. What kind of energy is the sun's energy? What type of energy is the sun's energy? And what type of energy is it changed into in the plant? What is the technical term of changing the sun's energy into energy for the plant? What is the technical name of it? Anybody know? Good. I know you guys are going to learn something today then, because I don't see any answers. It was worth getting out of bed, guys. This process is called, why didn't that type? Photosynthesis. Anybody ever heard of photosynthesis? It is solar energy. Try holding on to your tongue and saying that. Photosynthesis. All right. Photosynthesis. This is how plants turn that light energy from the sun, the solar energy, into, all right, I didn't see it. It's how that the sun turns that energy from the sun, that solar energy, that light energy, into chemical energy, which is basically what a plant makes is sugars, for lack of a better understanding. It basically makes sugars to help the plant grow. That's okay if I was having trouble sending a message too. There might be a little glitch in the system. No problem. So you will have a different assignment. So we talked about how adhesion and cohesion help that water and those nutrients get up into a plant. Adhesion, think of adhesive tape. That means one thing sticking to another thing. Cohesion is when like molecules, like that water, stick together on my finger, okay? And then we have germination. That's the process of a seed developing into a plant. And once it comes out of the ground, it starts to use the sun's energy. Still needs water, still needs warmth, but it starts turning that light energy into chemical energy and allow it to grow. So no problem that if you were having trouble communicating there, no problem. If anybody has any questions, I'll wait a minute. Again, I think language arts starts at 11:30, so I want to make sure I get off before then. I will be putting that assignment into Google Classroom, and you can just disregard that one. I do realize that a lot of people are having trouble with it. Last thing I want you to do is being frustrated by doing an assignment and not being able to talk to me or Mr. Fosnight about it. Sometimes it's hard enough doing an assignment in the classroom when we're sitting right there. And I realized that this one was kind of frustrating. So I'll have something else that'll be a lot easier for you to understand, and we'll get going. Say goodbye to Harold. Some bumper music. So you guys know about copyright laws and how YouTube will sometimes block things because of music. So instead, I recorded some piano stuff and synthesizer stuff that my daughter played, and that's going to be bumper music coming in and out. So here goes. This is my daughter. No questions? Tell your 6th grade friends noon. All right, have a good one, guys.